Hello, I'm going to talk about comedians, Moon-Mercury-Uranus, and the 11th Harmonic chart. My theory is that Moon, Mercury, and Uranus are involved very often in the charts of comedians, and the 11th Harmonic chart is very often very strong in the charts of comedians, and specifically Moon, Mercury, and Uranus showing up in the 11th Harmonic chart. And we're going to look at the charts of Carol Burnett. I've got AA, means it's accurate from a birth certificate. Lucille Ball, also from a birth certificate, AA accuracy. Art Carney, also AA accuracy, but there's some confusion about the town. There's the name of the town he was born in appears in several counties, and in New York, he was born in the state of New York, and Westchester is the larger town with that name, but some people believe it was in Erie County. It won't affect us because it only affects the house cusps by a few degrees, and we're not using houses, and there's no difference in time zone. So it's, for our purposes, it's AA data. And Bill Cosby, one person asked him, said he was born at 12:30 a.m. Another source says it's 3 a.m. It ends up with the 3 a.m. time. It fits our theory. The 12:30 a.m. does not, because these patterns move very quickly. So I'm going to run it for 3 a.m. so you can see the pattern. Now, I picked these four comedians to see if the theory works. Here's how I ended up pursuing this. I knew that Art Carney had a Moon, Mercury, Uranus, very exact hard aspects in his natal chart. I just had happened to notice that. And it made perfect sense to me. Moon, Mercury, Uranus, quick reflexes, funny. And I was wondering if the Moon, Mercury, Uranus might show up in the charts of other very successful comedians. But I believe the 11th Harmonic gets involved when people are very fast and very quick, which is part of comedy. So I guessed that it might show up in the 11th Harmonic as well. So that's how I pursued this research, and the results are amazing. This is going to be so unbelievable. It's just incredible. Okay, so the Moon, Mercury, Uranus, fast reflexes, quick responses, instinctive and quick awareness. That makes sense. Now, the 11th Harmonic. Here's some words that I use for 11th Harmonic. Restless, motivated, moving, dynamic, progressive, seeking fulfillment, hungry. You know, it's like they're hungry for something. They're not satisfied just sitting still. It's fast-paced and quick, does not want to feel stuck or trapped. It's seeking something fresh and exciting. That I think captures the real, if you want to just stick to one image, seeking something fresh and exciting, and this feeling of being on the move. Now, I wrote down here an unconscious assumption of the 11th Harmonic. I don't think people with strong 11th Harmonic think this way, usually consciously. Sometimes they do. But it gives you a sense for how the 11th Harmonic is seeing the world. The 11th Harmonic sees the world as movement. Everything's moving. People are seeking fulfillment, seeking new experiences. By the way, I see typos all over the place. Experiences, moment, you'll probably see some more, don't worry about it. Seeking new experiences. Life is vibrant. It's sometimes unstable. Here's an image. When you take a walk, for a moment you're on one foot, right? You're mostly on one foot. And then you get on the other foot, you go from one stability to another, so it's not like you're just rolling along, on all four legs, or something. So this is just an image, a metaphor, a way of visualizing the 11th Harmonic as this movement, and in the movement, there are changes, there's building and resolving of tensions, there's unpredictable circumstances, there are periodic surprises. That's life. Don't expect life to be simple and solid, and that's part of humor. These people enjoy the excitement, the changes, and part of what makes something funny is that punchline or that surprise, that unexpected response. Okay. Now, how did I come up with these ideas? Well, they first came up with, I did interviews and consultations of thousands of people in the 1970s. Did about 10 a week for about 7 years. A lot of them were just interviews. I just wanted to see if astrology worked. Sometimes they were more like consultations, but always getting feedback. And from that, I came up with certain ideas about how to interpret charts, just as anybody would. I've also done consultations. I've also done live consultations, especially when I'm teaching, giving workshops. but not as much as I did in the 70s. I'm too busy programming, etc. And another way the ideas have developed is through research, not just through personal experience. For example, I analyzed the Algonquin data, and I found out that the musicians in the Algonquin data have particular planets. I think it was Sun and Saturn, Venus and Saturn, I don't remember the planets, in the 11th harmonic more than the other professions like writers and military people and so on. And that's a fact. I mean, there's no getting around that fact. That's true. Now, that fact does not demonstrate, or you might say, quote, prove, demonstrate that the 11th harmonic works, because I was doing exploratory research. I didn't state a hypothesis. It hasn't been replicated with new data. But you explore, and it makes sense, because I think of 11th harmonic as moving, dynamic. What is music? It's a moving, dynamic art form. So it fits together. And since I noticed that in the Algonquin data, I've been using that idea of 11th harmonic inclined to music or dance. And, it does appear to work. So that's how the ideas are developed. It's model developing, theory development, and gradually testing things. And here's another test where I say to myself, do these comedians have Moon-Mercury-Uranus in 11th or an 11 based harmonic? Probably not. It's a long shot, and they do. So it's very, very interesting. So I made a specific hypothesis that Moon-Mercury-Uranus would appear in hard or soft aspect patterns or direct midpoint structures. In harmonics 8, because 8 is just a basically important harmonic, according to this system of what I call vibrational astrology, where we're looking at all these intricate vibrations, or the 11th, and always when you double a number, you get that harmonic very strong again, so I also guessed the 121st harmonic. And one of the amazing things I found is the 121st harmonic shows up extremely powerful in out of the four people, the two ladies who are arguably the wackiest, most expressive of the four comedians, both have the Moon-Mercury-Uranus show up in the 121st harmonic, and very strong. So, what inspired the research was I knew that Art Carney had Moon-Mercury-Uranus in a very tight aspect pattern in his chart, and then I wondered about the charts of some other comedians. I noticed these other three comedians that I could get biographical information about, that we know a lot about, they're in the public a lot, and I just chose them as extremely successful comedians that we have a lot of information about, and see if it works. And it does. Again, we didn't just prove astrology, but we make steps beyond just doing what we call convenience sampling, just, one or two charts, and we go further than that to test the ideas a little more carefully. So let's look at each one. Carol Burnett, to summarize, we won't see any big Moon-Mercury-Uranus thing in the natal chart. I'll show you her natal chart. In the 8th harmonic chart, we'll see Moon-Mercury in a close conjunction trine Uranus. So it shows up in the 8th. In the 11th, nothing. And then, amazingly, in the 121st harmonic, it shows up extremely strong, with Moon-Mercury-Uranus are all conjunct, also with two other planets. And from what I conclude, is this just amazing that the Moon-Mercury-Uranus show up very strong in two harmonics, and interestingly, one is the 121st harmonic. So if I didn't look at the 121st harmonic, I would never know it. Let's look at the Carol Burnett charts real quickly. Here's her natal chart. There's Mercury, Uranus, and Moon. And if you look very carefully, you'll notice that Moon and Uranus are semi-sextile. Uranus is early 24 Aries. Moon is late 23 Taurus. It's actually a very close semi-sextile. We usually regard that as a minor aspect, not that important. Moon is semi-square. Mercury, it's 45 degrees away. Some astrologers use it, some don't. But what happens in the 8th harmonic chart for Carol Burnett is that those little minor aspects turn into a Moon conjunct Mercury trine Uranus. I have other videos that explain harmonic charts in more detail, and we use certain orbs. But there it is, Moon, Mercury, trine Uranus. All three of them within orb in a basic pattern. So that's good. That means she's quick. She's responsive. A lot of people have more powerful patterns than that. That's not enough to make the wackiest, craziest lady on the planet, just hilariously funny, and who loves this kind of work, but it does give some quickness. But is there something special? We look at her 11th harmonic chart. I've got all these charts already calculated. We won't find any big Moon-Mercury-Uranus thing here. Here's Moon and Uranus and Mercury at 12 Cancer, no obvious aspects. And then look at this. This is mind-boggling, 121st harmonic, Moon, Mercury, Uranus, all within 11 degrees. And we allow 16 degrees in these charts, which may sound like a lot, but I have other videos that explain it. The orbs are blown up 121 times larger in this harmonic. Anyway, there's a 16-degree orb, and there are actually 5 planets within 14 degrees. So not only Moon, Mercury, Uranus, but also Mars, Saturn. So the 3 planets we predicted would be involved in the harmonic that was predicted to be very strong. That kind of blew my mind. I think I actually did, if I remember right, I think I did Lucille Ball first, then I did Carol Burnett. I saw it in one of the charts. I said, oh, that's incredible. I bet it's not in the other one as well. If it was, then I really have to believe this is it. And it shows up in both of their charts in the 121st harmonic, but slightly differently, as we'll see in a second. Okay, but before we go on to Lucille Ball, here's the summary. Carol Burnett, nothing major in the natal chart, unless you use those very minor aspects, which turn into basic aspects in the 8th harmonic. Nothing in the 11th, huge pattern in the 121st harmonic. Conclusion, amazing and mind-boggling. The 3 planets we predict show up in 2 harmonics, and in the 121st harmonic, combined with an additional 2 planets for an extremely rare, you almost never see 5 planets within orb in a harmonic, and there it is. What's really intriguing about this is we're all the way up to the 11 times 11 harmonic, and it seems, probably to the great majority of astrologers, not realistic. This couldn't possibly be true, but this is what vibrational astrology is all about, that there are intricate vibrations going on that are normally overlooked, is what the theory is. Now, Lucille Ball, we're going to see a similar thing. She has Moon trine Mercury in the natal chart, nothing in the 8th, unlike Carol Burnett, who does have something in the 8th, nothing. She has a direct midpoint structure in the 11th, and with a 4-minute orb. Moon is opposite the Mercury-Uranus midpoint 4-minute orb. And I know this may sound insane, crazy, could never be, got to be a coincidence. How could you do midpoints, which most people regard as not important, in the 11th harmonic, which is regarded as not important, and say that that's why Lucille Ball is so funny? Yep. This is what vibrational astrology is all about, that there are these intricate vibrational patterns and symmetries. And in the 121st, she has Mercury, Uranus, Moon, but the Moon is opposite Mercury, Uranus, whereas in Carol Burnett's, they were conjunct, and 2 other planets. In this case, Jupiter and Pluto, and also the Moon's node, all within 9 degrees. Extremely similar. They both have a Moon, Mercury, Uranus in the 121st harmonic. Lucille Ball has the midpoint thrown in, but Carol Burnett had the 8th harmonic pattern. Very, very extremely similar, and the Moon, Mercury, Uranus showing up in both charts. Amazing and mind-boggling. And what's really interesting in Lucille Ball's chart, or one of the interesting things, is the opposition. Now let me show you these charts. It's a little hard to follow without looking at the chart, so let's look at them. There's Lucille Ball's natal chart. Mercury 9 Virgo, Uranus 26 Capricorn, Moon 7 Capricorn. There's a Moon-Mercury trine. We can look at her 8th harmonic chart, and we won't see very much going on there. There's Mercury 18 Libra, Moon 28 Taurus, and we're Uranus 3 Scorpio. These are 15 degrees apart. Very, very weak. We allow 16-degree orbs, so not much going on. We look at her 11th harmonic chart. It doesn't look like much is going on with Moon, Mercury, and Uranus, but this Moon is directly opposite the Mercury-Uranus midpoint. How do I know that? I selected the midpoints just by going to midpoint and view the midpoints. I removed everything but conjunctions and oppositions, and there's Moon. opposite the Mercury-Uranus midpoint, 4-minute orb. Extremely tight. So these symmetries within a vibrational chart, a harmonic chart is like a vibrational chart, very powerful, making her very quick, very fast, and then the mind-boggling 121st harmonic, very similar to Carol Burnett, where we have, and there's so many planets that are all just smashed together here. Here's the Mercury, north node of the Moon, and Uranus, all within 3 degrees. And the Moon opposite both the Mercury and Uranus, as well as the north node of the Moon. So instead of the Moon being conjunct Mercury and Uranus, as it was in Carol Burnett's chart, the Moon is opposite Uranus, Mercury and Uranus, indicating that we can go all the way up to oppositions in the 121st harmonic. Means that this is actually in the 121st times 2, 242nd harmonic to it, and it picked up 2 more planets, the Pluto and Jupiter. Mercury, North Node, Uranus, Pluto, and Jupiter, all within 9 degrees. Very exact, and because we allow 16 degrees. It's incredible that both Carol Burnett and Lucille Ball both have Moon, Mercury, Uranus in the 121st harmonic, and both with 2 additional planets. And very exact. Very fast, very quick, very witty, hilarious, out of control. I mean that in a nice way, out of control. So there it is. So it fits very well. Now, the other 2 people, Art Carney, doesn't have much in the 11th and 121st harmonic. He basically, it's the Moon, Mercury, Uranus in his natal chart. So it's not as simple as saying you have to have Moon, Mercury, Uranus in the 11th or 121st harmonic in a strong pattern or midpoint structures to be that quick and that funny. You can just do it with hard aspects, but the aspects must be extremely exact according to the vibrational theory and according to our observations here. So let's look at Art Carney. Here's his natal chart, and here's the very exact Moon, Mercury, square Uranus. He's got Moon, Mercury right on the 7th house cusp. I'm sure that's a big part of it. Sitting right on the cusp, exactly square Uranus. And because it's so exact, what happens is it continues to show up in the higher harmonics. If we look at Art Carney's 8th harmonic chart, they're still there. I thought maybe they would pick up a lot more planets, but they don't. Uranus does tie up with Venus, and the Moon is sextile Jupiter. I mean, it's picking up some additional aspects. The Moon sextile to Jupiter, Uranus is sesquiquadrat Venus, so it does pick up some additional planets. It's still all within 6 degrees. When we look at his 11th harmonic chart, the Moon, Mercury are still conjunct. As we get to higher and higher harmonics, the orbs get bigger, and that's why the tight orb is so important, because it keeps it close. And Venus exactly opposite the Moon. Adds a little bit more to the pattern. But there are no direct midpoint structures, and there is no anything other than the Moon, Mercury, Uranus that we saw, that we see in his natal chart and in the 121st harmonic chart. We're now at such a high harmonic; these are no longer all conjunct and square each other. The Mercury-Uranus is not really doing anything. Almost a 3-degree orb sextile is out of orb. We don't consider that to be very important. And the Moon, not really doing anything either. So it's all in the basic chart. Now, the last chart we're going to do is Bill Cosby. And what we'll find out with Bill Cosby is he's born with a very exact Moon trine Uranus, 10-minute orb. In the 8th harmonic chart, Pluto's also involved with that trine. In the 11th harmonic, he's got the pattern. He's got the Moon. He has the Moon, Mercury, Uranus pattern in the 11th harmonic only if he's born at 11 a.m. 121st harmonic, nothing. So conclusion, the Moon trine Uranus, what we call picks up. An additional planet gets involved with that trine in the 11th, which is Mercury. And so it fits the theory. So I'll just do this quickly. Bill Cosby, here's his Moon trine Uranus, Moon at 13 Virgo 16, Uranus at 13 Taurus 06. very exact trine. And if we go to his 11th harmonic chart, that moon trine Uranus is still trine because the orb is so small. You have to have very exact aspects in the natal chart for it to stay within orb when you go up to the 11th harmonic chart. And it's still within orb, within 2-degree orb. And Mercury comes in exactly opposite the moon and sextile. You get this opposition, sextile, trine. All these little numbers, by the way, tell us the aspect. Like this is a 188th, this is a 2566th. Tells us this is a 1/3, the moon trine Uranus. This is a 1366. Just in case you're curious, we don't, for our purposes now, we don't really care about that. It's an opposition trine sextile in the 11th harmonic chart, exactly what we expect. So, Bill Cosby fits the theory reasonably well. He does have the Moon-Mercury-Uranus in the 11th. It's not as extreme as with Carol Burnett and Lucille Ball. And he's not as much of a crazy character as they are. It's more in his just his humor, his insight, and so on. So it fits the theory, reasonably well. Overall, we're getting pretty good confirmation. I'd say very, very excellent confirmation that this works. And remember, all the 11th harmonic does is speed you up and make you hungry. So it's not like there's humor in the chart. There's just things that make you, or at least I haven't found it in the language of astrology, doesn't translate directly to that behavior. So given what the astrology is saying, giving you the capacity to be funny, giving you the quickness, the resiliency, the love of the action, the humor would be one way to express it. There are other things Bill Cosby does that I could go into his whole chart and figure it out. But what will be interesting is if we get his birth time, I predict he's born around 3 a.m. and not 12:30 a.m. Because if we do a time adjust on his 11th harmonic chart, see this moon opposite Mercury? If I go to time adjust, I can do a time adjust on any chart, even a harmonic chart, which is really nice. And I go 1 hour, let's say earlier. Where'd they go? Here's the moon. The Moon-Mercury now 1 hour different is weaker, 4 degrees, and Uranus, which is over here, is now out of orb. The trine is almost out of orb. If I go 2 hours earlier, it's completely out. Here's Uranus. Here's the moon. Uranus at 24 Cancer, 13 Pisces. It's out of orb, 10 degrees out of orb from trine. And here's Mercury, basically making a weak sextile to Uranus. It's now opposite Venus instead of the moon. The Moon-Mercury-Uranus is gone. So if he's born at 3 a.m., we get his birth time, and it is 3 a.m. I'm just going to cancel out of this. That would also help confirm our theory. If he's born at 12:30 a.m., it's going to shed a little doubt on our theory. But this is the evidence-based approach where we test carefully against extreme charts, pick out extreme charts, and try to fit every one of them. See if every single one fits and come up with an idea that works. So our conclusion is these 11th harmonic patterns of Moon, Mercury, Uranus, with the specific rules that we're using, soft aspects, hard aspects, and direct midpoint structures, do give you the traits that give you the capacity to be a success in comedy. They're not required, because we saw that if you have just those hard aspects, like Art Carney has, that is sufficient. Okay, that's my last slide. I was just checking to see if I had anything else. So that's it. 11th harmonic, even the 121st harmonic, an insight into how vibrational astrology works. It's a whole new world, whole new set of ideas and concepts, that there's these intricate, subtle vibrations, and I think they really help capture the essence of what these people are all about. Okay, thank you for listening. God bless. Namaste.